You just love hearing someone's year in review, the good, the bad, the ugly, then you, my friend, are in the right place and in good company. I don't know what it is about these videos. I cannot get enough. I'm like, oh yeah, tell me about your year in review. I am here for it. So that's what we're doing. And I'm going to be talking about it both in the business side from Sprouted Planner and personally. So I'm going to be breaking it down. First, I'm going to be talking about the good on both of those sides, and then the not so good, didn't go to plan, learning lessons. And then my next video, I'm going to be talking about my plans for 2025. So stay tuned for that, but I can't wait to get into 2024. Let's get into it. Let's start with the good. And we're going to first start with the business side. So if I had to look at this year as a whole, I would say that this is the year that things really started clicking in my brain, especially on the business side. So I feel like coming into this business, I was just like spaghetti, 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 everywhere, seeing what stuck. I had no idea what I was doing. Yes, I was a business admin minor. Clearly, I taken away nothing from college. I wish we could go back as an adult. Like, why are we sending these 18, 19-year-old kids who have been through a bajillion years of school already, who are just like checking this box? Like, I would get so much out of college now. I would love to go back and learn. That would be such a pleasure. But no, it's just wasted on our youth. Anyways, rant over. And I feel like this was the year that I'm like, oh, this decision leads to this, and like seeing overall pictures, and it was just like, oh, okay, things are clicking. So that was super exciting, that I feel like I am really getting the hang of this business thing, and that was really putting into last year. Also, if we're just kind of big picture, and then I'll get more detailed, but this is really the year that I listened to my gut. And there is some that I'll talk about in the not so good part that I didn't listen to my gut. And I knew it. Like, I made decisions. I made yes decisions that I'm like, I know that I should say no to this. And that it didn't turn out great. It wasn't bad necessarily, but it just wasn't right. And I'm like, I knew in my gut that I should have said no. And there was multiple times of that where it was a learning experience. So I've now really learned to listen to my gut. One example of that is the hourly planner. I was hemming and hawing. As you know, I made the whole mid-year hourly planner, and then I made the whole yearly hourly planner. I had samples made. I had my photographer do the whole layout of it, and finally, at the last minute, I have to make a decision if I am going to manufacture this and put it out there. And I'm just like, my gut says, no, it's not ready. And so it was a really hard decision, but I'm like, I've learned I need to trust my gut. This isn't the right time for this planner. It's not ready yet. So I still feel excellent about that decision. Also, this was the year that I feel like I got organized and started creating systems. So that was super exciting. Now getting more into the details, was I hired a business coach this year. So Amy Lynne Consulting, I loved her. So I started with her in February, and she was great at helping me look at data. And then she was also great at helping me with my launch strategy. Another great thing that I really struggle with and Amy was helping me with is time management and focus. She was also really big in having me write things down. So she's like, okay, write this down. How much time did this take? What did you have to do? What was the timing? What are you hoping to do for next year? So that, here's a blueprint of what I did so that I can then fill in the details of this year. So she was really great at encouraging me to do that. The third big thing that was instrumental with Amy and a business coach is her connection of people is bonkers. So I think that's a high value in her business, is connecting people together and connection. Because of her and her suggestions, I hired a bookkeeper. Oh my gosh, why haven't I done this before? My bookkeeper, her company, it is a woman-owned business. She is local here to Minnesota. As her virtual assistants and bookkeeping, my gosh, that was a great hire. Especially because I feel like I spent January and part of February just cleaning up my finances because I did it all by myself, and it always inevitably gets to like June, July, and I just stop altogether. So it was doing half of a year of finances, and then trying to project for the year ahead. Do not recommend. 0 stars starting out the year that far behind. Another great hire that Amy introduced me to is my brand photographer, Lydia, and she is Venlo Studios. She's also local here in Minnesota. Man, I have been doing my own photos, and it showed since the start of Sprouted Planner. I just use like a photo box and my phone and filters. Oh, it took so much time because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't love it, and I got, excuse my language, shitty results. So I'm like, I am outsourcing at this time. She blew me away. Exceeded my expectations, both with the product photos and lifestyle photos. And then she put together a lookbook for me as well. Well worth every penny. I am so excited to keep working with her in the future. She is good stuff. So 2 great hires, all coming from my business coach. Highly recommend if you're thinking about a business coach, is absolutely worth it. Also along the lines of help and growth, I also took Marie Forleo's Time Genius course. I would actually like to go through it again this year because I feel like I implemented a lot of this stuff. Then it gets to be end of school, summer, the craziness of fall and launch, and it just goes out the window and into survival mode. But now, kind of into the new year, I'm like, okay, no, I gotta do that stuff. It was good. I'm really glad I took it. I can't say that I'm a time genius by any means, but I'm trying to change that. So I think it's a work in progress. I also really focused on Ashlyn Wrights. She's a copywriter. I went through her Copywriting for Creatives course. I'm almost done with it. I love her. I'm part of her group. A lot of value. Just a great group of women and people. Another great thing about 2024 in business, I know I created a great and strategic line of products. This year, a big thing was I really wanted to simplify. The previous year, I was just like, let's do notebooks and this and this and this and this and this and this. And I'm just like, let's add more. Like, surely that will be the more the better. And this year, I'm like, no, we're not adding more. I'm taking my bestsellers, the 2 planners especially, the daily and the weekly, and those are going to be the main players. Those are my lead actors. Everything else that I design and add is going to be support to that. And I don't want to make it just to make it. I want it to be support. So I didn't have a ton of new products this year, but I'm proud of the ones that I did add. And then because of my willy-nilly-ness from the previous year, I still had a bunch of 8x10 notebooks and all great products, but I never really launched them very well. And so I included that in this year's launch. That turned out great too. Not all is lost, but that was part of the thing that clicked in my brain is everything needs to be considered. So just because you can make a product doesn't mean you should, because the time to design the product, the time and cost to get a sample for the product, look it over, the cost to manufacture the product, it's that much more weight to pay for as it's getting shipped over here. It's that much more space to take up on a shelf to store. Every product you need to get photographed. That's more time, that's more money, that's more planning of what kind of shots you want. You have to set up that product on your website for the product page, for the collections page, for all of that, putting the description together, and then the marketing of it. That is just a product. So the more products you add, the more time it takes. And I'm just realizing how little time I actually have. And it was all kind of clicking together of all this stuff. Every little decision I make requires time of my limited time. Like, no wonder I'm always stressed out and behind and this and that. I've created a monster here. So I really try to focus in on those bestsellers and a less is more approach. So I really, really try to listen to feedback. Of course, I can't do it all. And I try to go with kind of the majority of opinions. But I think I made some great changes this year that people really loved. So I'm proud of that. The feedback has been amazing and great. And I think from just results, I think everyone is really liking the products, and that is the highest compliment that I could ever receive. Another good thing is I think that I developed and did a pretty darn good launch this fall. It was the first time that I actually came up with a strategy ahead of time. What videos I want to do, what was the message I wanted to portray, timing of everything. The execution of it got crazy Like, I can't believe the amount of work I fit into September once my kids went back to school. But it got done and I'm proud of it. It was a lot, but also I had fun. The aftermath of that was I just like burned myself to the ground, and my marketing game ever since then was just not there. But the launch was great. So we're keeping with the good. The launch was good. I hired a woman named Nicole to help with packing, and I love her. She is such good stuff. I think that was part of the trouble. I liked her too much. I want to be like, forget this packing stuff. Have some coffee and talk. So there's a lot of talking going on, which I don't regret at all. I really think we will be lifelong friends, however that looks, whether that is just coffee every once in a while. If I can continue to incorporate her in my business, I would love to do that, but we'll see. Time will tell. So wrapping up this good, I paid myself twice this year. So I paid myself in the beginning of the year so I could buy my husband a birthday present. And then I paid myself, I think in November, because I just had on my list, like, pay myself. Like, people keep telling me I should do this, so I'm going to pay myself. I think I want to do it more going forward. I'm going to have to really think of a strategy, because once I got in there into my bank account, and I'm like, all right, going to pay myself. Like, how much? Like, I have no idea. That's on the to-do list of, I think there's a book out there, I forget what it's called, but there's something out there talking about paying yourself first and setting up the pay structure and bank accounts and things like that I really need to follow, because I think that I could really start regularly paying myself. I just don't know how or how much makes sense. And I'm like, all right, I could just put it back in the business and keep paying down this debt. But I think some people in my household think that I should be adding more money to the bank account and not just taking from it. So anyways, here's the last thing I'll say about the good on the business side. I still need to go through my numbers. I wish I could tell you I grew by this much percentage and made blah, 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 blah. I haven't done that yet. I do know that it was a really positive year. Thank you to all of you for that. I contribute that to good product, amazing customers, and I contribute that to Amy, helping me come up with a great plan, strategy, recommending me to some good people to hire so I could outsource some things, the brand photography for sure. And then also a few but mighty folks that did review the planner were strategic as well. I did my best year yet. I'm really hopeful for years to come. And between like things clicking and turning this ship around this year, I'm excited for next year. Personally, on the personal side, the good things, if I had to simplify it and come up with like a condensed theme, I would say it was relationship, observing and learning. I'll go into all these. Staying the course / stability. Starting with relationships. So especially in the first part of this year, I prioritized a lot of my relationships, which was great. One of the sweetest things that came out of last year was I had intention that I was going to have coffee with my mom one time per month, every month. And we met that. After I would drop the kids off, I would go to her house. It was always entirely too early for her. I'm like, I'm coming over at 7:30. And then we would talk for like 4 or 5 hours easily. I don't know how that happened, because every time I'm like, holy crap, like I gotta go. So much good came out of it. You know, I was close with my mom before, but I think that really strengthened our relationship. We talked about so much, like the amount of times I cried. The history that we rehashed and talked about was all of it. And still, we have more to talk about. That was just really sweet. That was a huge, huge thing for last year. And I will always value that. And we're going to continue it this year. My sister, well, this wasn't so good for her, but she was unemployed for a little bit. And I got to see her a lot, too. So we had coffee. My sister, my mom, and I would all get together a lot more often. My sister and my siblings got together a few times. It was just like this really great time. I met her up at a coffee shop a couple times and we co-worked together. She was job searching. I was working on business stuff. And that was just great too. I loved that. And then she had to go and get herself a job. So sad for me, good for her. No, she's doing great. I'm really lucky we have great neighbors, and one of them sadly moved away, and their kids were just like best friends with my kids, and there was a relationship where it's like her kids would come over, you know, I would barely have the door open, they would come in and be here for hours, and it was vice versa. They had opportunity to move and start a dream a couple hours away, and we are still in contact. Super lucky to have them all these years, and we spent kind of the first part of the year still doing our thing with them. I have another great neighbor who's become a very good friend. We've gone on walks in the morning, and we've had coffee and all good stuff there. Spent a lot of time with some good friends. I spent some good time with my aunt and uncle, who I'm very close with and who are dear to me. Also, what's kind of fun, I didn't really realize, is my daughter, who is 8, she's made some couple good friends, and we've become friends with those parents. And so that's really a sweet relationship. I appreciate that. So it's just like a lot of relationship building and maintaining, and that was really good stuff. On the observing front, well, I would say 2023 was a lot of healing, and then 2024 was kind of getting my feet under me, and I was doing a lot of learning. Like, it was like a very introspective time. I was listening to a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of books. There was so much shift in my ideas and my understanding of things. All sorts of spaces, like business and parenting and God and faith and the world and our brains. And that really morphed into trying new systems and seeing if they worked. And if they didn't work, that was okay. So it was like, I feel like just from that trial and error, going into this next year is going to be really solid, because I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like I'm coming in pretty strong now. Lastly, on the good side, personally, just staying course. I think I developed a really good routine, especially with my health, that I just spent like, this is still good, like keep going. So I have my morning time. During the weekdays, my husband and I wake up at 4 a.m., which is gross, but I really look forward to it. I have quiet time. I read either a book or I start reading my Bible. I plan after that, and then I work out. And then by that time, it's time to like get the lunches packed and get the kids up. Or during the summer, I have like an hour then to work before they come out of their room. So that is just so great. Speaking of working out, I follow another fellow Minnesotan, Lindsay from Nourish Move Love. I love her workout. I feel so strong, and I've never felt better. I would highly recommend checking her out. I consider myself lucky because I feel like I eat pretty balanced. I've always kind of been that way, and I don't mean that as like braggy, like I eat so well. That is just something that comes kind of easily to me. Oh, and my husband is pretty strictly paleo. So that helps a lot, I would say. I say without him, like when he goes out of town, for sure I'm getting Domino's with the kids. But that combination of, my body feels better when I'm putting good things into it. So it's always kind of the aim to eat like 80% well. So I felt pretty good with sticking with that. I have a note here. I don't know how to approach this. This has been my soberest year since I've gone through my pregnancies. I started out the year in January as dry January. Then I for sure drank my fair share all the way through about mid-November. And then since November 17th, how do I want to say this? How much do I want to get into this? Maybe not too much. Okay, I'm just going to say it and then I can edit it out. Really quick sidestep. I've made the decision at Sprouted Planner. I don't want to talk politics. I don't want to talk faith. I don't want to get into like these certain subjects because I just don't want to. I'm just constantly learning about it. I just want this to be a space of encouragement, not of like hot button topics. Like, I will double down on the belief that black ink is the best ink to plan in. Like, I will, sure, I'll die on that hill. But in terms of other things, even though if I feel strongly about it in my personal life, which there's some things I do, other things I'm just always kind of learning, but I don't want to talk about it in the business side of things. I really do just feel called to love people too. And so I don't want to get divisive. There was a influencer that I agreed to do a review this year, sent them the planners, and then I basically got ghosted because I think I didn't say anything during election time, and they probably assumed one way when they were very vocal about things. I'm trying to keep it very, very broad, but it's hard. It is hard right now. I think a lot of people believe that businesses should choose sides. They should make it very clear They should talk about it. They should advocate for it. And if you feel strongly, go for it. I disagree with that. And not that I disagree with people who do it. For me and my business, no, I don't want to. Do not want to. And I won't. I will get judged one way. People will think certain things one way or the other. And that's okay. That's their prerogative. Sucks, but I can't do anything about it. All of this leads up because what I'm about to say is something about my faith. And again, it's not that I'm ashamed of it, but it's just all leading up, as I don't really talk about that on the business side, but it is a big part of my personal side. And so I will just say I was at a concert in November, Christian concert. I really felt God asking me to stop drinking for a year so that I can be more present. I really didn't get the feeling that it was like, this is out of control or anything like that. It was like, I want you to be present because I want to do something in your life. And so since November 17th, I have not drank. And it's been tough, but good. That's all I'll say about that. That's kind of been a big theme this year, it seems like. Just started out sober and ended sober, and we'll see what comes of it. So let's keep this going. Okay, the not so good and the lessons learned. Business. So as I mentioned already, I have notes down here if you can't tell. The first 2 months was just like digging out. It was the books. I had no strategy. It was just like digging out, getting caught up, catching my breath. I felt very behind, started out late, and that really set the precedence for the rest of the year. I was just so behind on designing the planners. Like, I was checking product samples at the end of May, which still you have to like go back and be like, this isn't right, and they have to change it. You have to approve the files, and then even after the samples, then you approve it, and then it takes a month to 2 months to actually produce the product, then some time to get it packaged up. Then you like have to go through the whole paying system and choosing your shipping, and then it takes like time for it to ship out. And so it was just really stressful. I launched the product without having any of the products with me, which is super risky. You sell all these products and they come, if they're damaged or there's issues with it, that would be an absolute nightmare. So it was after I launched, 2 days later is when that truck pulled up with all the products. And luckily, everything was great and good. Thank God. But, I mean, it was just, ick. No, I don't want to do that again. So it's just like, everything was behind, and that just was this cascading effect. So that was gross. That was very stressful. Looping back to this gut thing, after 2023 didn't go so well. Sales didn't go as planned. I was just like, I need to up marketing. Like, I need to do whatever. It was just like, let's do something. I hired a marketing team to help me with marketing, and what they did was fine. Like, they did good work. Their ideas, the strategy, all checks out. It all makes sense. Their execution of it was good. Like, I was always the roadblock because I could never stay to schedule. But it was that part was good. What was not good was that I knew I shouldn't hire them because I knew that it wasn't right for my business. Being a solopreneur, I am the face of this business. If I hire somebody to do blogging, to do social media, it needs to be another person that works in the business and who I can introduce and who adds that very, very personal touch. So this marketing approach was very AI, like come up with a strategy, come up with these words. Like, it was just so impersonal, not to the degree that you guys expect and know. And it was just so obvious. Like, it was just like, that is clearly like AI generated. That is a stock photo. And again, like for other companies that like banking or something could be just completely fine. But for my business, I knew that was wrong from the get-go. Like, I just needed a much more personal touch. And so, but I didn't listen to my gut. I was just like desperate, and I hired them. And so that was, for me, a lot of money. It wasn't like, I think it was a bargain, honestly. But for me, it was a lot of money that when I wasn't passionate about it, like, that sucked. Anyways, it was nothing to do with them. It was everything to do with I should have listened to my gut and hired differently. The not so good too, ever since I started Sprouted Planner, the financial side of it, of how I'm going to pay for the product, really sucks. Like, that really wears on me and stresses me out. 25, 30 grand to pay for the product up front, and then another $8,000 or $9,000 to have it shipped over here. I don't have that type of money in advance. So it just, every day from like May up until, August, it's just like, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for this? How am I going to pay for this? It just really sucks. So in the end this year, we decided to take a personal loan from our personal side and set it up like a loan. So I've been paying it back with interest. And so it's kind of a win-win, but I'm like, I never want to do this again. So I don't know how I'm going to structure it this year. I still have to look into the finances of it. I'm toying around with pre-sales until I feel like I can get to the point where I have the money to order up front, and then I don't have to go through this cycle. But I don't want to go through that struggle again this year, because that's too much. Also, I'm still in debt. I still have a business loan out. I've almost paid ourselves back, but I have a business loan out, fully maxed out, that I would really like to pay off. I really don't want to be in debt. So that still weighs on me. And I think that's part of why I haven't totally paid myself regularly, is because I just want to get out of debt. Okay, another big struggle, as I've mentioned before, is time management. Last year, up until the summer, I still had a kid that was in preschool and only going to preschool 3 times a week. And then another day he went with grandma. But towards the end of that, he didn't want to go with grandma, which had nothing to do with her. He just became like that was his thing. He didn't want to go with anyone. He just wanted to stay home with me. He's my little homebody. He's my mama's boy. I loved it, but it was a struggle because I'm like, I have so much to do, but I don't want to. And then he would stay home on Thursdays. And then Friday has always been like finances and grocery shopping and all that stuff. So it's like, that was gone. So really I had like 2 or 3 days to work, and that third day was, would Oliver stay at grandma's? Like, I would drop him off there. Some days he would just cry and I would have to take him back home. So now he's in kindergarten. He's great this year. It was just, I didn't have a ton of time to work. And then my concentration just was shot. I think I just really realized how much context switching I was doing. When you're in a small business, you wear so many hats, and it's just constantly like email, designing, marketing, this. There's like so many things going on in your business. I've never gotten the hang of like batching things because I think my schedule was so like work day, kid home, work day, kid home, do household stuff. I just took on, especially on the business side, too many focuses, which I thought was pared down. It was like, okay, I'm only going to focus on Instagram and YouTube and sending emails. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go through these courses on top of it, like designing and sourcing and all that stuff, and fulfillment still too, like packing orders. Like, it's just a lot for not a lot of time. So it's just, I felt like I was constantly like, and that sucked. So it's just like constantly context switching. And then with kids too, like they're constantly interrupting you, which is just part of what they do. I keep thinking I have ADHD when I think it's between social media and this world and all the needs of the business and the needs of the household and the kids. My brain has just like, that's just how it is now. That was just a real struggle because I could not concentrate. And on days where I would have the day open to work, it was just like my brain didn't know what to do with itself. And sometimes it was fine. Other times it was just garbage. And I would be scrolling on Instagram for hours and not do anything that day. And that sucked. Like, hated that. Instagram, I've decided, is evil. Like, it's fine. It's made to suck you in. So when it'd have to be there on there to post for business, beyond that, it's just, I couldn't handle it. So the last thing I'll say about business that did not work was fulfillment, which is like packing and shipping orders and answering people back. And not that those two things are bad and I don't like them necessarily. It's just, they take up so much time. So much time. Of this limited amount of time, I just suck at responding to people. I don't know any other way. And then when I do, I really want it to be thoughtful. So I spend way too much time responding to people and their emails and their comments, and it takes up a lot of my time. So I felt like I couldn't do justice to like marketing or strategy or things like that because my time was filled doing those tasks. So that was like the not so good and lessons I'm learning. On the personal side, and bringing this home, the not so good, the not so good. As I talked about on the business side, there's a lot on my plate. On the personal side, there is a lot on my plate too. My husband works a very, not big job, like Fortune 500, but his job that he works on, he has a ton on his plate. Like every time I go to his work, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know how you juggle all this. I don't know how you've built all this. Like this is a lot. And he has people that report up to him, and it really blows my mind. And he works a lot. So he's gone. And because of that, we have a very comfortable lifestyle. I appreciate everything he does. Like, I couldn't do Spread Planner and stay home with the kids without that. So he is able to do that because I do everything else. All household management, laundry, our finances, like every aspect of our finances, every aspect of our food, from planning to getting to putting away, to throwing out leftovers, to prepping, to cooking, all that is me. The cleaning, every night, of course, he's helping like cleaning up and doing that and dishes and stuff like that. But all the other kind of big cleaning typically falls on me. If it needs to be done on the weekends, then of course we do it together. But I spend a lot of time like just cleaning up after kids. Dude, it's just constant. Decluttering, like he is not a declutterer. I'm constantly throwing out all the stuff, going through papers, going through that, like any decluttering, organizing with the kids, everything. He is a great dad. He is very hands-on, but when it comes to all things school and clothes and doctors and feeding and snacks and schedules and all of that, that falls on to me. Relationships is coordinating our get-togethers and our friendships and our, gift buying and all of that for all of our families. That's on me. And then of course my business too. So it's like, it's no wonder my brain feels like it's constantly like short-circuiting because there's just a lot. I got to figure that out. And I think part of it, we both have really high expectations of things. So it's not like I don't want my house to be in disarray. It just is a lot of time, which leads me to, I never stop working in one way or the other, whether it's on this business or it's on the house. It's just, I'm constantly moving. And it's like 5 minutes to sit down watching TV with the kids before bed. And there's like, bedtime routine. And I feel burnt out all the time. And I have pockets where I'm like, okay, no, I feel good. I feel energized, but I don't take days to myself like I used to when I was at a normal working job. I just don't take enough time. I don't take enough solo time. When I am solo, it's I'm working on my business. Otherwise, I'm with the kids. So it's just very little downtime. And I know that's my choice. I know I could add that in there, but it's just, very little downtime or joy added. The last two things I'll have to say is my daughter, she is so amazing. She is so great. She's so smart. She has these natural athletic abilities that I certainly don't have. And she is our deeply feeling kid. And this year has been so hard with that. If you have kids, if you follow Dr. Becky at all, like Dr. Becky is an expert here, and she'd say her toughest time with parenting is her own deeply feeling kid. There's been something about that age 8 that I don't know what shift is going on inside her that has been really, really hard. It was affecting my mental health for a long time, but we started getting some resources for it. So I think I finally am understanding. Like, I knew she was a highly sensitive kid, but once I started getting into more resources, meeting with people, reading books on how to help with that, I'm getting into Dr. Becky's program. I feel hopeful for the first time in a while that we can do this. We got this. We can help build our little girl back up in her own self-esteem, and we have resources that can help us build a better relationship with her so that we're all better. But man, that's hard. And I think it will be a gift for her. I think I'm a deeply feeling kid, and we didn't have resources like that from before. And then lastly, I would say relationship-wise, I put in my good stuff. Like, I had like great relationship building with everyone basically outside my house. So I think my relationship with my husband took a hit this year, and not that we're in a bad spot. I think it's time to like shift back our focus on our marriage. So yeah, we're very busy. There's a lot going on. Little kids, I don't think ever make marriages better. And so yeah, I look forward to kind of building that back up. Okay, that concludes this incredibly long, rambling year in review. Overall, I have to say, I didn't mind it. Like, it was good. It was a good year. And I look forward to 2025. But I'm thankful for all the lessons learned. And we just feel so lucky. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with me as I rambled. I would love to hear from you, like how your year went. If there's like a summary of it, or you just want to tell me a little snippet of like, a good and a bad. I would love to hear that from you. Anything you want to share? Otherwise, if there's anything you want to hear more of and want me to go more in depth about in future videos, let me know. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time, where I'm going to be talking about all the plans for 2025, and it will be way shorter. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you next time. At it as a whole. Whole. I say that word so weird. Whole. Like, it's so breathy. Whole. Nailing it, you guys.